What is God? Does God exist? Is there a God? Big question. And so to start, I would say that it really depends on how you define that word, the definition of the word, because what some people might mean by that word might not be what some other people mean by the use of that word. And so, God, like say if somebody told you that a car was this thing in the sky and it had wheels and it's just like it wouldn't make any sense, and you're like you would probably refuse something that didn't was incongruent with anything that really made sense to you. And so, but if they put it into context, be like, well, no, it's this thing on the ground and it does this and has that, and this is how it these are the qualities that we ascribe to this thing that we're calling a car or a vehicle. It makes perfect sense. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's really not that hard to understand. I mean, you don't even really need to wrap your mind around it because it's pretty self-explanatory. And so it's the thing with God. So just to say it, I would, as best as in, say, like Hermetic philosophy or even other works that I study, it's like the word God could be used to describe all that is. Everything that is, was, will be, kind of, so like the all that is. And so it's an interesting thing. Say when I pray, it's something like this. So I don't, it is beyond name and it is beyond words. I just simply take a moment to recognize a source without, and that's it, source. I take a moment to recognize, you could say behind things, but then you start getting into these particulars, right? I mean, you got to be careful with your language. It just, without putting words and names and labels, I was told by Bashar that when Lao Tzu talks about the Tao, he is referring to God. And I don't think just in the sense that all is God and so therefore everything is. I mean, there's a very good explanation of this in the Kabbalion, the book by Hermes Trismegistus, or by the Three Initiates, about Hermetic philosophy, which is easy to find and download and PDFs in Spanish, English, and it was in French. It was like just, it showed up in 1900 in France, and I've been through it many times. And so there is like an example that they say, it's like, so like the all in all, or the all is in all, and the all is like, so where, I guess how to say it, where does so it's like you can't say I am God. I mean, in a sense you are, but you cannot say that you are identical with all that is. Are you connected to it? Yes. One with it? Yes. And this is just my understanding. I'm sure I would be corrected if there was like a teacher here, but all I'm doing is sharing my understanding to the best of my ability. And so it's just like, say like the example that's given is, say when Shakespeare writes a play, his essence is in all of the characters, but the characters themselves could not be said to be synonymous with him. And so another example is like, so I guess the reason why I don't use words and labels and things like that to describe something that is beyond naming, it's like say there is a microbe in the ocean, and for it to say that it understands, say, me, a being that is on a bit of a different level than that being, not saying that that consciousness is because it's like evolution of consciousness and stuff like that. It's not saying that anything is stuck. I mean, they say that everything, what we consider to be gods are, most of the time extraterrestrials, and or just like, say, beings that are of a far greater rate of vibration. So from species that have achieved higher levels of conscious awareness and whatnot, and are able to operate in sort of, I guess, other realms and in other facets than we do in our very physical world like this. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just, so what else is there with the whole God thing? If God is all that is. So God as, like, science, science, physics. I mean, it's how we're able to repeat things, how you can conduct an experiment, and then you can share that understanding with somebody else, and then they can duplicate the findings using the same set of circumstances in their own lab. And this is science. It's what gives us our scientific understanding. And so it's like, to do with relationships is to do with a constant. Science is something that it's like our understanding of it changes. Our relationship to it does not. I mean, the way that it is the way that it is. Cause and effect, or relativity. I mean, there are certain things that are fundamental, like entropy. And so, but just like saying that, it's like clearly intelligence is inherent in everything. And if you look at stuff, it is in everything, just in the way that, us as human beings, do we always use the highest level of intelligence? No, but we're a species that is learning and growing, and we're going through something that is clearly necessary. And so there's also, there's, things like the way that plants grow. They grow according to like the golden mean, or like the Fibonacci sequence, where you just look at where you're at and where you were to see where you're gonna go. And it's like, it's a ratio, it's a formula for how things evolve. I mean, like, there is no such thing as randomness, not when you really look into stuff. So it's just like, when you have, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. There is like an experience where you're separate from everything, and things just happen randomly, and sometimes there's luck, and sometimes it's like, darn, stuff is like not supposed to happen. And that's one experience. But then there's certainly another experience. It's something that I call the switch. It's when you stop seeing the world as separate from you, and you start to recognize that everything is a reflection, everything is in relation, everything is in accordance with something that is going on, that is like showing you, that is helping you. It's a system, a feedback system that, that is designed to help you evolve. I mean, like, it is insane just how beautiful the whole thing is. And so just that level of intelligence, that level of orchestration, that level of how things operate, that the mechanics behind it all. I mean, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about God. Is we're saying that there is something of a high caliber. And to go beyond that, to try to understand that, they say in yoga that you don't worship God, because how can you worship something that you don't understand? And if you think you understand, I mean, that shows that you don't understand, because even the brightest among us will say, even when they have the experiences like of samadhi, nirvikalpa, and things like that, where you can shift your awareness into an omnipresent state, I mean, it's not like you understand and you know what they say is it's like speechless. You can't put words to it. You can't define it. You can't put it into a box and then just like, because we're talking like all that is. So they say like in yoga, you don't worship God. The best you can do is seek God. You can seek to know, to have a relationship, to develop an understanding of what the relationship is between yourself and all that is. And believe me, that's enough. That's a lifetime of study and just of experience and just going through the motions of like figuring this stuff out. Be like, okay, and then it's like, you work with these different ideas and you go with the ones that make the most sense. And yeah, do I believe that there is a God? I believe that there is a source of intelligence behind all things. Is it masculine or feminine? It is behind all things, or it is, it is beyond that. So, it is, that's why, like, with certain teachings, you really have to find your way with them, as they often portray that energy as a masculine archetype, when it's like, come on, we're talking balance, we're talking holism here. So yeah, I will leave you at that. I think that's enough. Yeah, so yeah, I do believe in God.